everyone. This is Jeff Culhane, voice of the Florida State Seminoles, and you're listening to the Phillip Jordan Show podcast.
Back by nobody's demand but our own. This is the Phillip Jordan Podcast. I am Phillip Jordan, the Auburn writer, one of them, over at the Auburn Wire, part of USA Today. We got a fun show playing for you guys here on this Monday, a special Monday edition of the pod. And just a few moments, going to be joined by a good friend, Josh Boutwell. Check him out over the Troy Messenger. We're going to be looking ahead to the in-state bowl game between the Troy Trojans and the Jacksonville State Gamecocks for Tuesday night. It's going to be played in Montgomery in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. We'll talk about Troy, the turnaround season for Coach Parker. We had him on the show back when I was doing this for Wiregrass Daily News a year and a half ago. Talked to him. But great turnaround. Went 4-8 last season and 8-5. Did lose in the Sun Belt Championship game, but big turnaround there for Troy, getting this team to this point in bowl game in 8 wins and a shot at 9 wins. We'll talk about that. Also get Josh's thoughts on Jon Sumrall going to Florida. Of course, Josh covered Coach Sumrall when he was at Troy for 2 years there. And rapid fire, get Josh's picks on the first round of the college football playoff that does start this Friday when Alabama travels to Oklahoma. And then after that, I will look into some other football stuff over the weekend. You can check out the Phillip Jordan Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please follow, rate, or review. Leave a review, and I will read it on a future edition of the show. And if you leave just 4 stars, you're just a straight-up hater. You can also check out the show over at the Phillip Jordan Sports YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all notifications. Please leave a comment on a video. I'll also read those on a future edition as well. You can always email me at sports.phillipjordan@gmail.com. You can follow me on social media at pjordansports. Now, today's featured guest with Josh Boutwell from the Troy Messenger. Everybody, my guest today, been a while since we talked, I think probably before the season, Josh Boutwell. You can check him out covering all things Troy athletics over at the Troy Messenger as sports editor, but also now general manager and managing editor. And Josh, appreciate you coming on.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
Oh, yeah. Glad to have you on. We're going to talk about the Salute to Veterans Bowl game between Jacksonville State and Troy. I saw the bowl matchup get set up. I was excited about it because this is an old classic rivalry. I know a lot of people were happy about it as well. But, before we jump into that, again, congrats on the new titles, everything going your way over there at the Troy Messenger. How has things changed for you now that you've got all that other stuff part of? I mean, what don't you do at the Troy Messenger? I think it's the proper question to ask.
Not much. I don't know. Someone kind of described it to me when they were kind of asking me to do this. For the first few months, it's probably gonna be like drinking out of a fire hydrant or a fire hose, and it's how it feels. So I'm doing a little bit. I'm wearing all the hats. I'm trying to learn on the go for some of it, but trying to get us where we need to be.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Again, congrats on that. And Troy this year had to be. It was a lot more fun season for the Troy Trojan fans in football this year than last year with Coach Parker. 4-8 last year. And I think coming into the year, it was obviously a big prove-it year. You wanted to do something better. And, last year, which they kind of had the same issue this year, quarterbacks in and out of the lineup. I think that was like a big part, just changing over from a new coach, from Sumrall to him, players and all that stuff. What's kind of like your big takeaway from this year and how Coach Parker kind of got this team turned around and they had a berth in the Sun Belt Championship game?
I think everyone has to respect the coaching job that they've done, not just because of the quarterback situation, but if you look at the offensive line that you're going to see on Tuesday, it is 100%, other than one position, different than what we have seen at the beginning of the year and several different times over the year. You've lost 2 starting left tackles. Now your starting offensive guard, who also was starting at center some, is gone. You lost your starting right tackle. Everyone other than Matt Henry has been hurt this year. So just, you can't really do much of anything with an offensive line in that state of change and injury and all of that, and to be able to pull off some of the wins they're able to do to get to the Sun Belt Championship. And as much as JMU fans may not want to talk about it, be right there with JMU all the way to the end of the fourth quarter. It's been a heck of a coaching job that they've done, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that stands out to me.
Yeah, because I remember going into that game, they were like a 21, 22-point underdog, and you go into the fourth quarter at 17-14. It really felt like that game shifted when Goose Crowder got hurt, because they go up 24-14, and then Tucker Gilchrist comes in, sack, fumble, then it's 31-14. Then you kind of feel, okay, it's over. But you're right, because I saw some of the comments from the James Madison fans bringing up stuff from a couple years ago when they couldn't play in the Sun Belt title game against Troy and all that other stuff. I mean, I'm like, guys, get over it. It is the past. You're going to the playoff. You are a Sun Belt champion. But yeah, they were right there with them. I mean, in the spot, not being able to run the ball and JMU running all over Troy, it was still like, you said, it was a 3-point game going to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's to not be able to run the ball, which we have really seen in the last 6 weeks, really, is just not be able to run the ball whatsoever, giving up the most sacks in the entire country. And like we mentioned, all of the injuries, running back too, even they've had all year. So to be there with them to the end that was definitely so. And you also got to tip your hat to the guy that should have won the Ray guy, Evan Crenshaw, who his kicks kept him in the game, but also the defense. Like you said, JMU did run the ball very well, but the defense was still able to keep them in it until the end when all of that running did eventually catch up to them.
Hey, to me, the most important stat is always the scoreboard. And the fact is you held on to 17 points going into fourth quarter. So defensively, yeah, you may give up the yards, but you're doing your job. You're keeping the game within reason. And of course, Goose Crowder gets hurt in the game, and then Tucker Gilchrist comes in. Just didn't work out. But, Tucker pretty much played well this year, too, when he had to come in. Goose Crowder got hurt early in the year. A couple comeback victories led by him. I thought he played really well against South Alabama, made some key throws there. So it's kind of like, last year you had the quarterback musical chairs because of injuries. This year it was there. They had to play both of them, but I don't think it didn't hurt Troy like it did last year.
No, if it wasn't for Tucker, Troy wouldn't have been in the Sun Belt Championship game. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The way he came in and played, he got Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Week, threw for, I believe it was 400 yards against Texas State. He had 2 comeback wins, that big, huge comeback win at Buffalo. No, you cannot downplay the success he had, for sure. He kept Troy in the hunt for the Sun Belt Championship.
When you look at these two quarterbacks, Goose Crowder and Tucker Gilchrist, and I guess it all looks like we will see Crowder in the bowl game on Tuesday. Goose Crowder has got a lot of toughness to him. Now, I remember a couple of years ago, before last season when he was there, I talked to Barry McKnight on the pod, and he compared him to Brandon Silvers. And I don't know about that, but it also there's an amount of toughness with Goose Crowder that you see. I mean, he's going to put his head down and run despite the injury history. Tucker seems more like a pocket passer, more of a pure thrower of the two. How do you see the two?
Tucker's actually more mobile of the two. He was kind of a running quarterback in high school too. He can bring those RPOs to the game. But like you mentioned, Goose, no fear, 100% no fear. He's a tough guy. He's got a big arm. One of the things people kind of forget about that injury that happened against Memphis, the play right before it, he threw a 75-yard touchdown pass to tie the game, but an illegal formation penalty brought it back. So without that penalty, who knows where the season would have went, what would have happened. You can't do those what ifs. But Tucker's. Goose is just super, super tough guy. The team looks at him as one of the leaders for sure.
Looking at this matchup on Tuesday night, there in Montgomery at the Crampton Bowl, in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. I still remember it's the Camellia Bowl. That's still, in my head when I hear Montgomery Bowl game, I think of the Camellia Bowl, which I covered a couple of times over the last word. A lot of people are excited about the matchup. I don't know about the location for a lot of people. When this got announced that these two were going to play in the bowl game, what was like your initial response?
My selfish response was, hey, I get to go to, 70 miles down the road, and I get to go sleep in my own bed that night instead of driving to Orlando, New Orleans, or any of those types of locations.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's definitely some fans that disappointed Troy didn't get to go to Birmingham or New Orleans or the Cure Bowl or one of any of those other bowls that are considered kind of the bigger bowls. I just feel like this is kind of the perfect storm to be a huge game with a huge audience. And the restoring of a rivalry that predates every fan in existence for either one of these teams. It's just a cool moment. Fans of both sides for years have asked, when are you guys finally going to do this game again? And, just so happens it's going to be in a bowl game. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun game. I think it's going to be, the Camellia Bowl and now the Salute Defenders Bowl. Those all have a history of being close, exciting games, and I feel like I'm probably going to see another one this Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty much have a record of not having great weather either because of the cold. At least this time it's just cold. Ones I've been at have always been rainy, but you've never had, here in Southeast Alabama or this part, or just, even where Montgomery's at, we're used to having 60 or 70-degree weather in December. Never during the bowl game that's in Montgomery. It's always going to be bad. Cold, rainy, or whatever you have. And I was kind of hoping when Jacksonville State several years ago announced they were going to move up to the FBS, I was really hoping they would go to the Sun Belt just because you could have that. And also you could probably start a little rivalry with South too as well, a secondary rivalry. But they went to Conference USA, so we haven't been able to see this matchup because I kind of missed too. You remember this when Troy used to play UAB every year? That was always a fun one too. Obviously, they're in a different conference, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And you mentioned that none of these players were around when these two teams were playing each other.
No.
I didn't realize it had been so long. I thought for sure maybe in the mid or late 2000s they may have played, but no, it's been since 2001. Jacksonville State holds the record. The win-loss record is in their favor. 33-28, and there's two ties, but it should be fun. It's going to be. There's going to be some, maybe some older fans that make it out. Maybe they'll be bickering with each other in the crowd. The players will probably just be like, whatever. We weren't around when this was a big thing. Because the players at Troy South is the rival. I mean, that's the deal. And I didn't realize too, Josh, it was the rivalry was called the Battle for the Old School Belt. So I wonder they should just have brought up a new trophy for this bowl game. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The actually funny thing is I asked some of the players on Thursday at practice, what they knew about the rivalry, how much they knew it, and pretty much all of them was we really didn't know much about it other than Jackson State and Troy hate each other, and we're going to learn more about it, and we know we need to go beat them. Pretty much is how they looked at it. But it's been fun, just even like the stuff on social media, seeing the Jack State fans and the Troy fans going back and forth. They kind of picked up that rivalry like there was no gap in between the games.
Yeah, and looking at just the matchup, and of course Charles Kelly, which for us in our area of Alabama Wiregrass, a very familiar name. He's from this area. Done a good job. Year one as a head coach there at Jacksonville State. 85. I did see where Gerad Parker made a little comment, said he did much better in his first year than they did in theirs. So, you got to like that sense of humor about things with Gerad Parker. But to me, I mean, Jacksonville State has got a great run game with their quarterback and their running back. Cam Cook, the running back, Caden Creel, the quarterback, both over 1,000 yards rushing. Of course, we saw with the JMU game, Troy struggled against that. So it really feels like with this game, it's just going to come, especially on the Troy side of things, them getting a run game going and stopping the Jacksonville State run game.
Absolutely. But going back to Charles Kelly, I actually had a conversation with him on Friday. Him being an Ozark guy, just how much he kind of his history with Troy. And, he said pretty much he grew up. Troy was the first football game he ever went to. He followed Troy his whole life. There was a chance of him going to Troy until Chan Gailey left, and that's when he ended up going to Auburn because of his history with Suge Jordan. Oh my gosh, bad guy. But
way back on that one.
yeah, way back. Yeah, Cam Cook I think is one of the best tailbacks in the country, without question. I think he's up there with JMU's running back, which is saying something. Wayne Knight's special. Mm-hmm. Definitely a different style of running back. But yeah, the running game is, I mean, it's the entire equation for this game, in my opinion, because one of the best defenses against an offense like Jack State's is to keep them off the field. And Troy's going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to find creative ways to run the ball. I don't know what end arounds, RPOs, read option, whatever you have to do, wildcat, whatever. But keeping Cam Cook and that offense off the field is going to be a big thing. But then also the defense making some stops, because if you let them, they're going to run the ball right up the gut, straight at you. I mean, that JMU film is no secret. You know, they know what they're going to want to do. And then also keeping Goose upright. You know, obviously he's coming off of an ankle injury. And the offensive line, patchwork is not the answer. They got 8 healthy bodies on the offensive line right now. Paul Bowling entered the transfer portal, so he will be entering the transfer portal. He will not play. Eli Russ, who was starting at left tackle, blew his knee out. He's done. So, you know, you're going to have new starters there. You know, Patrick Screws Jr. will probably be the guy at left guard, who is a local kid, played at Eufaula, Georgia Tech transfer. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, you know, the running back position too. You know,
yeah,
Meadows not
no
being
Tane
there.
Meadows, no Jarris Williams. So I mean, they're going to have to rely on Jordan Lovett, who's had some good games this year. He's also been banged up some, and then also Dennis Palmer and AC Walters, who have a combined 0 carries in the entire season. So, you know, some guys that have not had any reps whatsoever are going to have to step up in this game.
Yeah, and, you know, obviously you probably have to think, too, you know, we mentioned quarterbacks earlier running the ball. The quarterback run game would probably be more of a help with that run game. You know, and Kennesaw State, when they played them in the Conference USA Championship game, you mentioned it earlier, they kind of did do a little ball control. They kept the ball away from that Jacksonville State offense. So, you know, defensively, I was looking at them, too, as well. I mean, yes, in Conference USA, they rank high, but they've given up a lot of points in yardage this year. So you got to hope for Troy. That's the positive thing. You say, okay, if we block it up front, everything should work out offensively. And, you know, I feel like going this game, despite the Jacksonville State great ability to run the football, I think Troy is in good shape in this game. And, you know, maybe I'm being favoritism. I mean, I do go to school there, so I'm, you know, I'm just saying, but I think Troy's going to win.
I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, I like the JMU game, because people were asking me about that when I said, you know, JMU's got to help Troy out a little bit, and they did with turnovers. Troy's going to need some help in this one. And, you know, one interesting thing was when I was talking to Gerad Parker last week, he said he felt like Goose Crowder's best game until he got hurt was the JMU game. And just some of the throws he made, some of them that were dropped even, just getting guys in his face, letting the ball go, he's just getting hit, but still putting the ball in the money. That's kind of how he felt about that. And Goose is going to make big plays down the field. And he's got guys, Ra Thomas, Peyton Higgins, DJ Epps, those guys that can make plays down the field. And, you know, along with controlling the ball, keeping them off the field, you're going to have some of those big explosive plays.
Yeah, and you got to think, too, for this one on defense, Jordan Stringer is going to be a game. Just kind of his spot where he's at on the defense. Those linebackers going to be ready.
He and Devin Lafayette are going to be very, very busy in this game.
Oh, you know, I wanted to talk to you, too, because the Florida Gators made a big hire 2 weeks ago. And a guy you know very well, Jon Sumrall. Everybody, Troy loves the guy. I mean, what he did coming in, I guess he proved Chip Lindsey wasn't completely inadequate because he had talent. He just was able to coach that talent. Jon Sumrall was great 2 years at Troy, back-to-back Sun Belt titles. Played for the American Championship last year, lost, and then this year won, beating North Texas just this past Friday night. So obviously he's a winner. He wins everywhere he goes. He's going to put a good staff together, all that stuff. Just what were your thoughts on what he can do at Florida?
I think he's going to turn Florida back around. It's just my probably biased opinion, because I've never made it a secret how I feel about Jon Sumrall. I consider him a friend. I told him after it was announced I was very proud of him, and I am, and we'll be rooting for him as much as we can. Yeah, I mean, it's just the guy's personality. You have to work really hard to dislike this guy, man. You know, it's actually funny. I was almost seeing kind of the live tweeting from some of the Florida fans who hated the hire, and they're like, kind of going through the emotions at his press conference, and they're like, God, I hate this. This is awful. And then all of a sudden he says something, and they're like, oh my God, I think I love this guy. I mean, it's just you have to work at it to hate him, and I think he's going to be a big time hire for Florida.
Yeah, I think a lot of that just was that it was just the hope, and you just thought for a while there. As soon as Napier got fired, they thought for sure they was getting Lane Kiffin. Which, as a guy here that has covered Auburn from last word now the Auburn Wire, you do not think you have Lane Kiffin until he is signed on the dotted line, because a couple years ago at Auburn, they thought he was going to Auburn, and it didn't happen. So with Lane, you just have to wait until what happens. But yeah, John, he's going to do a really good job there. And, I didn't prep you for this question, but also I just thought I didn't write it down. I know it's 6 years away, so we know how away college sports are. This game could get pulled. Who knows? But I think it is great seeing Auburn and Troy going to play a football game in 2031. Auburn just played South. They played Sanford. They played the other ones. They were supposed to play Jack State next year. That game got put off schedule because of the 9-game conference schedule. Just one of them unfortunate things. And Troy felt that with Mississippi State, canceling their game. But still, I just think it's a good thing. I wish Alabama would do this too, play the other schools in the state. But I think it's healthy and it's good when Auburn and Alabama will play the other in-state schools of football.
This is, like you mentioned, this is just good for college football in this state. It should be happening. Alabama should be playing South. Alabama should be playing Troy. Alabama should be playing UAB. That probably won't ever happen. But Auburn should be playing all these teams. There's no question. And it's great. Obviously, everyone would love to see Auburn come to Troy and just how big of a game that would be. But, I mean, just getting the game out there in general, and then Auburn got to pay you a lot of money to come do it too. I mean, that's a bonus. No, I mean, it's great. I love to see it. I was happily wrong. I've said for a very long time that I did not believe that either Alabama nor Auburn would ever play Troy. So I was happily wrong about that, and hopefully Alabama will prove me wrong too.
Yeah, and look, from the Auburn side of things, I mean, for Troy fans going to Auburn, that's not a long trip. So that's another thing. It's not. So, and you got guys like me that want to cover Auburn, talk about Auburn, but also that goes to Troy. So it was. I told my editor and our lead writer, Taylor Jones, as soon as I saw the news, I took a screenshot. I said, I am writing this one. This is mine. I claimed it from the start. I wanted to write about that one. Real quick, too, before I let you go, the college football playoff does start this week. And I want to see if you were up for to get some quick picks for you on the 4 games.
Okay, sure.
All right, let's start off in state. Alabama at Oklahoma. Who you got?
I just don't think Alabama's offense is able to move the ball. I didn't feel like they really deserve to be in the playoffs. So maybe they'll come in with a chip on their shoulder. But no, I think Oklahoma will win this one.
Miami at Texas A&M.
Oh, Texas A&M. I don't. Miami's one of those teams where I've not been impressed with them all year. I mean, that Louisville game was just atrocious. I know they played better since then, but yeah, I'm going with A&M. And I think A&M is one of the better teams in the country.
I do too. I feel like the teams of all the teams playing the first round, they're the best shot at make a run and win the thing. That's where they're at. Now I'm gonna put you in a bad spot with this one. Tulane at Ole Miss.
Oh my God. It's not going to be the score that we saw earlier this year. But Ole Miss has just got too many dogs. I think one thing that's going to be interesting to see is the distraction, not having Lane Kiffin there anymore. Is the offensive coordinator going to call plays? Is he not? The back and forth between that happened. I think there's a shot that Tulane might go and shock the world. It's just how awesome that would be for the game, and it would really, really ruffle some feathers. I just think Ole Miss has got too many weapons, too much firepower. So I'm going with Ole Miss. Unfortunately, sorry, Coach Sumrall.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be a tough one for you. And then finally, James Madison at Oregon.
Oregon. I got Oregon on that one. Too much. It's too much firepower too. Like I mentioned, just track stars on the field at Oregon, and I think Dan Lanning is one of the better coaches in the country.
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, all home teams. They're on them picks. So I'm kind of leaning. Honestly, I'm gonna say this. I think Alabama's gonna win Friday night. I don't have on X's and O's and proper how they played lately reason, but I just have a feeling they're going to win. I don't know. So
got to fix a lot of stuff to get that done.
Yeah, and Kalen DeBoer not going to Michigan, which he put a statement out today. Anyways, Josh, appreciate you coming on. Fun. I hadn't done this in a while. If the listeners, viewers want to follow your work, where can they find you?
Find us at TroyMessenger.com on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything at Troy Messenger. You can find me on Twitter or X, whatever, at Josh P. Messenger.
All right, everybody, go follow Josh for all the great coverage of the Troy Trojans and high school football in that area too as well. And anyways, Josh, appreciate the time, and I look forward to do this again.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
All right. Once again, thanks to Josh Boutwell for coming on the show. A lot of fun talking with him, catching up with Josh, and talking all things Troy and the bowl game on Tuesday night in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. Real quickly, going to get out of here on this Monday morning and go over some quick headlines from the world of football over the weekend. Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy. I kind of figured this was what's going to happen. I'm not saying it's what should have happened, but I kind of figured this is what would happen. He would win the Heisman, 13-0. Indiana, he got 643 first-place votes, 2,362 points overall. Great year for him. 33 touchdowns with 6 interceptions, almost 3,000 yards passing, 72% completion percentage. Had the Heisman moment, probably 2. Big throw there against Ohio State. Really gutsy play calls by Kurt Cignetti, and obviously the touchdown pass to win it against Penn State. He had a couple Heisman moments. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia comes in second. He was upset. Not going to repeat what he said, which he did come out and apologize on Sunday night for the way he acted. He came in second with 189 first-place votes, 1,435 points there. Then Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Lowe comes in third, and then Ohio State quarterback Julian Sand comes in fourth. Was saying he had a big game against Mendoza. Maybe he'd been up there. And the whole thing with Manziel, if you just strictly, to me, I think player that means more to their team, I think you have to say that would be Pavia, but we know how this thing goes. It goes to the best player on the best team, and that is Indiana right now. Also, we had a statement from Kalen DeBoer on Sunday about his deal there. Also, his name's been mentioned with the Michigan job that's now open because Jerron Moore, all that stuff with him. I just wonder, obviously you see a lot of people knew what was going on there in Michigan. So how was he? I don't know. Just a weird, bad deal there in Michigan. They need to completely get away from the Jim Harbaugh tree of things. But Kalen DeBoer's name has been mentioned for the Michigan job, just like it was the Penn State job. Now, he shot that down. Of course, they went with Matt Campbell there. And now, obviously, he's got to come out and say something. The playoffs coming up Friday. They're in, like I said, in the college football playoff, playing Oklahoma. You figure something needed to be said by Kalen DeBoer, and this is what he said. This is from Alabama, like a fan engagement site or account, whatever, for University of Alabama. My family and I are very happy in Tuscaloosa and remain extremely grateful for the support of President Mueller, Greg Byrne, and the board, and so many others. We have an incredible opportunity in front of us, so my sole focus is on Alabama football and our preparation to play Oklahoma in the college football playoff. I have not spoken, have no interest in speaking with anyone else about any other job. I am fully committed to this program and look forward to continuing as the head football coach at the University of Alabama. I just felt that is something he had to come out and say, just because the playoff deal and everything else going on with Alabama. Be interesting if they lose on Friday night, Saturday. What's that look like? Will Michigan have a coach by then? Michigan does have a coach by then, which to say Alabama gets knocked out first round. I think some more conversations are going to be floating out there with Kalen DeBoer. Real quick, some NFL takeaways from the weekend. Phillip Rivers was a big story going in. Hasn't played a game since January of 21 when the Colts lost in the playoffs to Buffalo. He played against Seattle. He was okay, but look at the guy who hadn't played, almost 5 years. He's 44 years old. He looks like a coach, the way he looked before the game started. And everything else when they saw him out there before he got in uniform. Obviously, he was never fast to start with, but he's even slower now. Just saying. He was 18-27, 120. He did throw a touchdown pass. They had a chance to win it. They were up 16-15 late, and then Seattle kicked another field goal. Seattle kicked 6 field goals, so they kept Seattle out of the end zone in the game. Kicker Josh Myers had 6 field goals in the 56-yarder late to win it there. Packers, devastating injury on Sunday. Michael Parsons likely out for the year. This is not confirmed of this recording, but it looks like a torn ACL. He is out for your non-contact injury. And without him, it just changes things because just what you teams have to do to counteract him, sending 2 or 3 defenders to block him, that opens up things for the Packers. He causes havoc with the quarterback. Even on Sunday, Bo Nix had a big day, throw from 302, 40 touchdowns. But there were a couple times where he was running for his life to get away from Michael Parsons. Without him, this defense is going to be different. You already lost Tucker Kraft, and then early in the game, Christian Watson gets hurt, so you don't know what's going on with him because he's been playing really well since he came back from injury. And the game really turned to me. The Packers were up 23-14, and then Jordan Love went for the deep shot, and then Patrick Surtain intercepted, but in the same play, Christian Watson got injured. He doesn't come back in. The Broncos go down, score, get some momentum. Packers had opportunity late. They couldn't do anything with another late interception by Jordan Love, and now the Packers are sitting at 9-4-1. They are 7th place right now in the NFC with their placement there. And you kind of got to wonder with them moving up. They got to play at the Bears this week. Now they jump back down. They're not leading the division now. You still have to play the Ravens, and you have to play the Vikings to close out the year. So the Packers have to okay. I think the Packers can still make the playoffs with this team. They can recalibrate. But now without Tucker Kraft now on offense and Michael Parsons on defense, this team is not going to win a championship. They have the makings, the talent to be that team. But now they need to just be looking for 2026. Like I said, they can make the playoffs, but I do not expect this team to make a run there. But the Broncos, look, they clinch. They win once again. Great team here with the Broncos. Now sitting at where they are at 12-2, leading the AFC, especially now with that Patriots loss to the Bills. And now where they led 21-0, and then Josh Allen brings them back. Josh Allen, another comeback. They had a comeback win last week against the Bengals as well. You got to put the Bills away at Josh Allen. He's just such a great player. Brings them back. And so that the Patriots were not able to clinch the division or get close to that in this win. Now they're still leading the division. They're 11-3, and the Bills are 10-4. But this was a big win for the Bills, getting that back from early in the year. But still, the Patriots are in a good spot to win the division. But this was even a bigger win for the Bills. Kind of showing, hey, look at us. Because now the Chiefs are eliminated from playoff contention with a 13-16 loss to the Chargers. And Patrick Mahomes goes down with a torn ACL. This team is going to have to really look at some things. And now you're going to have Mahomes recovering from that over the offseason. And there's some players that are probably going to make some decisions on some older players. The team's got to get younger. They got to make some changes, wholesale changes on the roster around Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, he's still going to be there, but the rest of what this roster looks like, they got to get better at wide receiver. They got to get more explosive on offense. That's the thing. And defensively, I think they've taken a step back this year too as well. They don't seem as fast as they once were on the defense side of the ball. So it's going to be weird with the Chiefs not there, but I think now is the best opportunity for Josh Allen to lead the Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl because they have not been able to get past the Kansas City Chiefs. And, of course, we do have a game on Monday night between the Steelers and the Dolphins. So right now you're looking at the Broncos are at the top with the Patriots, Jaguars, and Steelers. That are your division leaders. And then following that, you have the LA Chargers, Buffalo Bills at the 6th spot, and then Houston Texans, they're at the 7. The Colts, they are game back as well. Ravens, they've got to hope for some losses for the Steelers. The Steelers beat them last week. So we'll see how that goes. And then in the NFC, the Rams with a big win over the Lions on Sunday. The Bears blew out the Browns, so they're now back in front. Same thing with the Eagles. They blew out the Raiders, and then Tampa Bay, even though they lost. But with Carolina losing, it now puts Tampa Bay back in front for now. You got Seattle at 5, the 49ers at 6, and then the Packers are at 7 with the Lions right behind them at 8-6. They're at the 8th spot. And the Cowboys did lose to the Vikings. So the Cowboys had a slim shot at maybe the division title, but now that's gone. with losing there. So a lot of stuff to figure out with the NFL coming up down the stretch with the playoffs a few weeks away. And then we got the college football playoffs this week. We're going to be previewing those. We're going to be looking at deep dive into Alabama, Oklahoma on Wednesday. And then on Friday, Bill Bender from the Sporting News will be joining me to preview all 4 of the college football playoff games. So a lot of stuff going on here on the pod and the channel this week. And hope you all tune in for it. Now I'm going to get out of here. Again, thanks to Josh Boutwell for coming on. Had a lot of fun with him. I don't have a lot of Monday pods with guests, but I was able to get Josh, and that was a lot of fun chatting up with him. Anyways, you can follow me on social media at P. Jordan Sports. Podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Check me out on YouTube at the Phillip Jordan Sports YouTube channel. This will go up over there at 7 o'clock on Monday morning. And also, you can email me, sportstalkphilipjordan@gmail.com. Hope everybody has a great Monday. We're getting close to Christmas time. Get your shopping done. Anyways, till next time. Bye-bye.